Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Four Downs podcast, brought to you by CMG Sports and the YouTube channel, and of course, the Hard Hitting Wrestling Show, which their website is hhwshow.com. In today's episode, I'm talking about the top 25 in college football. Yes, indeed, the season is near. We're only a couple of months away for the season to start, and why not but talk about the preseason top 25, my own version, right, with no media interference, no none of that. Can't persuade me on this. This is me following all the transactions that's happened in the offseason. And I'm going to start with right away real quick because, man, it's not popular, but it's guaranteed the most promising one that there is. And we're going to go ahead and zoom in to ranks 21 through 25. I have Washington, Ole Miss, TCU, South Carolina, and Wisconsin. Washington had a brilliant season in the Pac-12, but Michael Penix Jr. is out there. He's trying to make a name for himself. I think he will succeed with Washington. You know, he is the transfer from Indiana, but this is his second season with Washington. Let's see what happens. Number 22, Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, Spencer Sanders. I mean, these two quarterbacks are transferred. Dart from USC, Sanders from Oklahoma State. Who's going to start for Ole Miss? It's hard to say, right? And the closer we get to the season, the more, even though it seems like Jackson Dart is the most leading one, but I won't be surprised if either one of them, even Spencer Sanders, to be the starter. 11 transfers, 10 of them are seniors for Ole Miss. They're trying to do whatever it takes to try to get past Alabama. Number 23, TCU, Max Duggan, drafted to the NFL. They're left with Chandler Morris to assume the role as a starter. Number 24, South Carolina. Can they beat Georgia and Florida? This is the second year for Spencer Rattler and his senior year, as we know him transfer from Oklahoma. And lastly, Wisconsin. The new head coach, Luke Fickell, takes charge. He has quarterback Tanner Mordecai, who is probably going to be the starting quarterback. As you know, Graham Mertz left Wisconsin, and he is playing for Florida. Let's see what these five teams, can they make a lot of noise in the top 25? Moving on to 16 to 20. Miami, Florida State, Auburn, North Carolina, and Colorado. Miami has Mario Cristobal his second season. The biggest question is, will Tyler Van Dyke be the starter for that team? Hurricanes can make an impact in the ACC with a lot of starters remaining in the team. There's been 5 additional starters from the transfer portal. Miami looks like they made some improvement, but can they execute? That's the bottom line. Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis led the team to a 10-3 season. They lost 3 straight to Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. They could bounce back. They can improve in those games. They will make a lot of noise in the ACC. Number 18, Auburn. Hugh Freeze entering his first season. He's coming from Liberty. He also has a transfer quarterback from Michigan State, Peyton Thorne, that might more likely be the starting quarterback. Last year's starter, Robbie Ashford, he did all right. He did okay, but we all know that Auburn, they've been struggling. And with Freeze being there, he also has recruited 12 players from the transfer portal. Could we see a new version of Auburn? And once again, we always look forward for the last game of the season when they take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 19, North Carolina. The biggest name there is Drake May, the quarterback. He is a redshirt sophomore. He's a dual threat quarterback that led the Tar Heels to an ACC title game, but lost to Clemson. May is a Heisman candidate, and you need to watch out for this guy because he is solid. And I predict that North Carolina could win their division in the ACC. Number 20, Colorado. Yes, I mean, this team hasn't had a winning season since 2016, but I do believe in the head coach of Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is shredded. I mean, this guy took over the transfer portal, okay? And the majority of the roster is a transfer portal. Can you believe that? Even from starters to backups. I mean, it's a new version of the Colorado Buffalo. And one thing to remember is the quarterback is Shadir Sanders, who is the son of the Hall of Fame NFL cornerback of Deion Sanders. So watch out, because Colorado could make a lot of noise in the Pac-12. Moving on to 11 to 15, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida, USC, and Penn State. I'll start with Oklahoma. This will be Brent Venables' second season as the head coach, and he still has a lot of shoes to fill. Last season, they finished with a disappointing 6-7. It is hopeful for the Sooners to bounce back with Dylan Gabriel, who is a senior transfer, to be the starting quarterback. However, Venables has recruited a 5-star quarterback of Jackson Arnold, who is from Latanya, Texas, and he accepted also Bevel Davis, a transfer from the University of Pittsburgh. Could this be a race of who's going to be the starting quarterback? I'll tell you right now, if Gabriel's not the one, it's more likely that they'll have a rookie, a true freshman, to go there to lead the way for the Sooners. Tennessee, the Vols were impressive with the 11-2 record. Joe Milton III will be the starting quarterback. He is the transfer from Michigan. He has a lot to prove, and the way Tennessee played last year, can they continue that success? Number 13, Florida. Graham Mertz is a transfer from Wisconsin. We talked about that. He is a great caliber quarterback. This is something that Florida needs. I think this is an improvement from last year's team, and I believe that Mertz could get them close, but not enough to pass the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't think that they have enough talent surrounding Graham Mertz to make that happen. Number 14, USC. The focus will be the Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. Although USC may be ranked in the top 4 with the rest of the media, I'm just not buying it right now. You're talking about USC, who allowed over 400 points the whole entire season last year. That's not going to win you championship. As a matter of fact, that's going to get you maybe 2 losses. So they need to improve in that defense. And I don't think that they can compete against any SEC teams. I mean, look at the Georgia Bulldogs. They only gave up 214 points. And you're talking about USC giving up 400 points? That's 2 times too many, and not enough for USC, especially last year that they could not pass the Utah. That's right, the Utes. They couldn't beat them. And number 15, Penn State. They're going to bounce around up and down, but I just don't think that they have enough to get by Michigan or Ohio State. So Penn State's always going to be that mid-range ranking throughout the season. Moving on to number 7 through 10. Here we go. Notre Dame, Texas A&M, the Texas Longhorns, and Clemson. Notre Dame accepted the transfer of Sam Hartman, the quarterback from Wake Forest. He may be the missing piece for the Irish offense. Drew Pine left to Arizona State, and head coach Marcus Freeman can now compete and seek revenge on the 2 teams he lost last year, Stanford and USC. And I'm going to tell you right now, Notre Dame is number 7 in my rankings, but I expect them to be at least in the top 5 with Sam Hartman as the quarterback. Number 8, Texas. The conversation is going to be about Quinn Ewers. Can he make it happen? I think he has the talent if he stays healthy, but also keep in mind his backup quarterback is no other than Arch Manning, the nephew of Peyton and Eli Manning. Hudson Card did well to back up Ewers, but he left to Purdue. And again, Texas is favored to win the Big 12, and it'll be disappointing to see Texas not winning the title, knowing that this is their last season in the Big 12 conference. Texas A&M, the Aggies had a decline since 2020. The team has the talent, they recruited well, but they're not showing anything when it comes to the standings. They finished 5-7, 2-6 in the SEC. Jimbo Fisher should be in the hot seat this season. Clemson, number 10. They had quarterback issues with DJ Uiagalelei. He left. He transferred to Oregon State. They got Cade Klubnik is the projected starter for the Tigers. But if the Tigers are going to compete and be the elite that they were before, they just got to step up on their defense and control the time of possession for the offense. Now, my 5 and 6, Oregon and Michigan. On paper, Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12. You got Bo Nix, who could be a Heisman potential. You have the comeback seasons of running back Bucky Irving and wide receiver Troy Franklin. I mean, these guys got the offense still there, okay? This is Bo Nix last year, for Oregon, and he'll take off. This is the season he could prove himself that he can make it to the NFL. But the biggest game I'm looking forward to is Oregon versus USC. That is the game to watch on November 11th, which falls on Veterans Day. Michigan, the Big Ten title, two-time champs. They're going back-to-back. They made it to the playoffs, even though they lost. But the Wolverines are seeking for the third straight Big Ten title. They can do it with J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, Blake Corum, running back, who should be coming back healthy, and Cornelius Johnson, their wide receiver. The Michigan hosts Ohio State in the season finale, and this game will take place. And I said host, that's right, because it will be in Michigan. And right now, it seems like Michigan has home field advantage, not only just this game, but the whole entire season. So it could be that Michigan can make it to the top 4. One loss, and it'll be probably too much for Michigan. Now my top 4. No surprise here. You might say it is SEC heavy, but there's going to be a process of elimination here. And I'll start off right now. Ohio State. Yes, they they lost in the playoffs. They got beat by Michigan the last 2 seasons. But I got a gut feeling that the Ohio State, with CJ Stroud out of the picture, no matter who is the quarterback for Ohio State, they got everybody else in place, okay? And I'm talking about like Mayan Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, excuse me for that if I pronounce that name. But between the offense and defense, Ohio State is set. They just got to concentrate on defeating Michigan. And if they could do that, and looking at their schedule, Ohio State will remain in the top 4, probably not closer to number 2 or number 1. But you're looking at Alabama at number 3. You can't count them out. The Crimson Tide, they always have the success with Nick Saban, but this is going to be a season that is different, okay? They have, and I tell you, a new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator. So there's a lot going on here, okay, for Alabama. A lot of turbulence, but can they make it happen? And yes, they will face LSU this season. Talking about LSU, they are number 2. Key wins against Ole Miss and Alabama back-to-back. Jaden Daniels returns as a senior for a quarterback. They got Noah Cain, who's leading as a running back with rushing touchdowns. I mean, they got the formula to defeat Alabama again. So expect that to happen. And of course, number 1, there's nothing really to say, but yeah, they are looking for a solid quarterback, and the decision could be soon or maybe before the season starts. But regardless, you got to respect the back-to-back champions. 2-time champions, Georgia Bulldogs, back-to-back. I'm telling you, Georgia Bulldogs, they have the talent. You just cannot count them out. I still feel as Georgia Bulldogs at this moment is better than Alabama. I really do. Yes, they defeated LSU in the SEC championship, and you just got to knock them down. Which team can knock out Georgia this season? Very hard to say. But something's got to give, because, again, the expansion will happen next season. So if this season right now, Georgia, which is my favorite, they just got to make it happen again. Win 14 in a row and win and go 3 times, baby. 3 times. Can they do it? I know there's a lot out there that's going to pick USC, Ohio State, or Alabama. But I tell you what, it's going to be a quick season, man, because as soon as that kickoff started in September, you snap your fingers, we were already talking about bowl games, and that's what happened in the last 2 seasons so far. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be awesome. And of course, there's always politics involved and see who's going to be in the top 4, but you got to knock them down, man. The team's got to knock them down. And I feel like with all the turbulence and the transfer portal, you'll never know who's going to be in the Final 4. But stay tuned to All 4 Downs podcast. The more we get closer, the more predictions we're going to have, the much more news and everything else coming up this season. Thank you for watching. Take care. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching All 4 Downs on the CMG Sports Network.